Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sustainability Chats with Friends. I'm thrilled to be joined by Paolo today, who is working on a digital platform to help people repair, resell, and recycle their clothing. So, Paolo, if you could please share a bit about your background and what you're up to, that would be great.
Okay. Hi, thank you for having me.
Cool.
Right now, I'm the founder of Secret Valley Tech. It's a company in which we are developing a platform that unifies a fragmented circular fashion ecosystem. A lot of people have clothes that they don't wear anymore. And the way of disposing of them is so fragmented, it's offline, online, many different choices depending on the garment and your location and whatever. So what we're building is a platform that makes it easy for people to sustainably dispose of their clothes. I come from a fashion design. I studied fashion design 10 years ago, and then I also worked in factories in Italy that they outsourced for major brands. And that's how I saw like how really messed up is the industry, all the ways that they produce, but not even just in textile, but also in the production processes, plastic bags, tags, so many things that are like creating more waste. And this was very alarming for me because that was one factory out of like thousands in the world that are producing textiles. So yeah, after that experience, I said, okay, I would really like to create something that could actually change the system. I decided to start with a fashion brand 2 years ago. But after some months, I mean, it was going good. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, another fashion brand, sadly, is not going to make any difference. I mean, there are thousands of sustainable fashion brands, and we're just putting more product on the market. So I said, okay, no, I really need to innovate in this area and do something that other already existing fashion brands can use or consumers can use to reduce their output of textile clothing waste. And yeah, now we're with this. We started around January, and so far it's going great. Let's say 2025 was a warm-up year of validation. We really wanted to build something that people will actually use. So the idea started with something we thought people would want, and then speaking with a lot of consumers, we found what was the pain point and what was like what actually people needed to be more sustainable with their clothing. And now the idea is this platform. It has it's a consumer platform, but it's also a platform for brands. So it's also B2B. So yeah, we're about to launch in March the app. So yeah, we're very looking forward to the next steps and everything that's coming.
Yeah, that's really exciting. And I'm curious to hear, what was the pain point that the customer said to you?
So the biggest one that we identified is sustainability is not easy and it's not cheap and it's not quick. So if you want to donate something, you have to take it to the donation container, and maybe you have a box full of clothes, old clothes, so you have to walk with the or go with the car, take the time. People, I don't want to say they're lazy, but people, we want to do the easiest thing, like the gets most comfortable thing. Doing that, maybe it's just easier. I have something that I don't wear anymore. I just throw it to the garbage, and it's the bad thing to do, but it's the easiest thing. So also selling through many different platforms online, for example, Vinted is one example. People use Vinted. There's a share of the population that use Vinted to get rid of their clothes, not precisely to sell them, not because they think they have a value or they want the money. They just want to get sustainably rid of them. And this is a process that can take weeks, months, chatting with a lot of people for only to sell it for €1 just to get rid of it. And also on the recycling side, they are not very available to consumers. It's not like a store that you say, oh, this is a recycling store and I can bring my clothes and recycle them. It's very hidden behind a lot of layers, the recycling. So we observed that this is the scenario right now if you want to sustainably dispose of your clothes. And we said, okay, this is too complicated for consumers, and this is why consumers are not doing the right choices sometimes, because it's complicated and it's hard. So we said, okay, if we really want to make this change the way that people behave, of course we cannot change how they behave, but we can help them do better choices. And it's by making it easy, making it quick. It should be as easy as grabbing this and throwing it to the garbage. It should be as easy to grab this and give it a second life.
Right. I love that. Yeah, change their influence. That's really cool. And especially with the recycling thing, like I was in a situation the other day where I was trying to recycle some shoes, and it's really hard to tell where the recycling points are and if they're going to actually recycle it or not. And I know that you have quite a localized approach to what you're doing. So are you very much like trying to work with the recyclers it's in Cologne, right? In Germany, where you're
Yes,
based.
certainly.
Yeah. Is that also where your pilot is at the moment, or where it's going to be?
So for the MVP, no. For the first beta launch of the app, no. We want to make it as easy as possible. I mean, to concentrate on just a few features, but the end goal is, so on the long run, what we want is that also we connect directly the garments of people to the recycling plants. So right now, if we enter to talk about the recycling industry, is also a little bit tricky. They have their own problems at the same time. It's a market that has been shifting a lot lately, and also the system is a little broken. How it works right now is people just donate their garments, and sometimes half goes to an actual donation for a charity or something, and the other half goes to a collector. The collector then, through a very manually extensive labor, has to identify which garments are good or not. The ones that are not goes to recycling. But this sorting, the person that is sorting all these garments has a cost to this recycling process. We have seen many different big collectors or sorters go bankrupt because it's not sustainable. I mean, the costs are so high and the income that you get from this is so little that it's not sustainable. And at the end, we've seen Soex, for example, go bankrupt some years ago. It was one of the biggest sorters and collectors in Europe, and they cannot get the costs down. And also the market is shifting. Fast fashion has made such an impact on the recycling industry that now it's even harder to make money out of recycling and sorting.
That's crazy. How are you? Do you think that there's a solution to that?
I believe there is a
about that?
solution. I believe there are already very interesting players. I believe the solution will be technology for sure. We see the things that AI can do, but we don't see also the other things that it's been trained or developed to do. And one of these is also sorting. I mean, there is a company from, I think it's from the Netherlands or from Belgium. I don't want to be wrong, but it's from around that area. And they are developing an AI system to recognize garments if they are good for resale or go straight to recycling. So if you can get an artificial intelligence, analyze a garment, and just straight up tell you if it's good for resale or goes straight to recycling, you have taken down one of the biggest costs of this industry, which is the manual sorting. Of course, yeah, some people may say, yeah, it's taking the job of someone that is doing it. But at the same time, that person is, with the current trends of the market, that person is not going to have a job either way, because it's too expensive to pay a person to do the sorting for the price that you're selling this secondhand or this recycling stuff in bulk, So AI for sure is very promising for this. We have this company that is developing this. I believe they are centering more on collectors in different European cities. But this is a technology we're also implementing in Sally. Sally is the app that we are developing at our company, is the consumer app, the platform. And we believe if a person in their house can just take a picture of their clothes, and at that same moment, the AI analyzes and tells you this is good for resale and tells you automatically the price, or it tells you, no, this has many defects that cannot be repaired. This goes direct to recycling. If we can manage to do that at the house of the person and not at the recycling center, you have taken down so many costs, because from the house of the person, it can go directly to resell or directly to the recycling center or plant. And you cannot understand how many costs would you take down from this process.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. I was reading about that and I was really curious to hear more about how it works. Like, for instance, if I had a jumper or whatever that I wanted to resell, would I take out my phone, take a picture of just the fabric, or would I take a photo of the label? Like, how would it work? Or would you have to do it in conjunction with like the digital product passport that's coming out?
And that's also very interesting. It's good that we were talking about it. So a little bit of context. The digital product passport is so interesting. I think it's going to be one of the revolutions of the fashion industry. It's already revolutionizing some other industries like batteries and toys, but for textile, it's going to be huge. Not just because it's going to help consumers track better the life of their garment, but it's also going to help recycling plants do better their job. It's so hard to understand sometimes. You don't have a label, and to understand what's the material, the composition, in recycling, not every garment can be recycled the same. Like, you cannot recycle wool the same way you recycle polyester. And also when it's mixed, it's another story. So a digital product passport will be the unique ID for every garment that will contain all its information, not only the production information, so not only raw materials and processes and places where it was made, but also we can, for the first time, make a record of all the second or third or fourth lives that garment will live, how many times it changes hands, how many times it gets repaired.
That's so interesting.
It's huge. And I think so far we weren't able to do more in sustainability in the fashion industry because we lack this kind of technology to track garments. So at the beginning, Sally, we know that the digital product passport is something that it's coming. Probably in the next 5 years, we will start to see it more and more. At the moment, the market penetration is so low, it's under 10%. If you think that only 7% of brands or businesses have already started to think of implementing one, it doesn't even mean they have one. They're starting to think how they will implement it. It means 93% are just continuing operation in business without thinking about a digital product passport. It will be mandatory by 2030. European regulations will make it mandatory. So we know in 5-6 years, every garment will have one, but we cannot wait 5-6-7 years to start doing something about this. So we said, okay, with Sally, when DPPs will come out, we can turbo power the platform and make everything so accurate and more personalized with the information that is contained in these passports. But at the beginning, we are aware that almost none of the garments in the market that are in circulation or in the closets of people.
Right.
For this, AI comes in, and it's a good substitute at the beginning because image recognition is very powerful at the moment. With just one picture, you can get brand, material, you can get condition also, because it can identify if it's been stained or it's been faded or has holes or whatever. So this is great because it makes it easy for people. Sometimes people don't, even just the fact that having to fill the description or putting like search for, so easy. So AI helps you with this. Of course, it's not perfect, but it's very accurate. So it still gives you the opportunity to modify some spaces. When you are taking a picture, it tells you, okay, this is this brand, it's this material and whatever. If you think it's making a mistake, you can also, of course, correct it. But it makes it so easier for you.
That's really cool. Thanks for going into that and also explaining how the digital product passport can help slot in eventually. I think that's really promising. And because you mentioned Vinted, and obviously one of the appeals for people to use that is because they can make money off of it. And so is your platform aiming to do that from kind of like a personal standpoint as well?
Yes, what we get a lot of times, like the comparison with Vinted, and Vinted, of course, is the biggest player right now in secondhand, the resale, P2P. But Vinted is a marketplace, and a marketplace has many limitations, specifically because it's more oriented towards resale. And there sometimes we have different garments that are not even worth resale. Fast fashion garments that are costed €5. I mean, yeah, you can put it on Vinted, and it's what actually people do. They put it on Vinted for €1, €2, but people don't do it because they want to make money. They do it because they want to get rid of. So Of course, if you have things of good quality and a good brand that has a lot of value, Vinted is perfect for you. And it's exactly what I also do sometimes when I don't know, okay, this garment is worth at least 50 euros because I paid, I don't know, 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to make some money out of it and I also want to get rid of it, go to Vinted. But what do we do with the garments that the value in the market is so low that it basically doesn't make sense to sell? This is why we are exploring one of the main features that Sally will have, and this is also what we validated through 2025, and it was really a surprise, but it was also very exciting to see this, the potential of swapping, of garment swapping.
Yeah.
People already do this mostly offline. There's things called swap parties. For example, you call your friends, each one brings all the clothes they want to get rid of. You put them in I don't know, in a table, and everyone looks if they like something and they just take it home. So we saw that right now there are also stores in which you pay a membership and then you can bring your clothes and take all the clothes you want. It's not resale, it's swapping, because you're not paying for each individual garment. You are just participating in a common closet, on a shared closet. And this is how we are calling it on the app. This is the shared closet, so people can put all the garments. The interesting thing here is that every garment is not worth a different value from another. We take all garments as the same, as each garment is equal, let's, as an example, as one token. It doesn't matter if it's this t-shirt or some pants or a dress or whatever. We don't want people to start comparing value. We just want people to treat garments as a part of a shared closet. So when you take a picture and you say, okay, this is not worth reselling because maybe it will take me a lot of time, I would just want to share it with someone else. Maybe someone else will like it and they can use it and give it a second life. So being part of this, I think it's going to revolutionize in a way the way we buy fashion, because right now how it works is we just buy, have it in our closets, wear it sometimes some months, sometimes a couple of years. Then we don't like it anymore because trends change or we change also with our tastes. Then we just see it on our closet, and then when we have to clean it up, we take it into boxes into the basement, and then just like it's sitting there. When someone else, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So
Right.
else can easily give it a proper life.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept. I think it also links to like the sharing economy more than just, the conventional economy, I guess, capitalist economy. Yeah, that's one question that I have going off of that is, do you worry that people would put up lower quality clothing if they think that they can't get money for it?
I mean, if for the marketplace, they can put whatever to sell because it's a free economy. So even if it's like a t-shirt that I bought €4 for, I'm still the owner of the thing, so I can just sell it. On the shared closet, the AI helps us a lot to filter the
Right.
quantity of I can put. We believe that for a shared closet, we don't want to leave garments behind, because that's when the problem comes in. Oh, no one wants to buy this, but also this is not accepted in a shared closet or whatever. So my options get smaller and smaller, and at the end, I will just throw it to the garbage, and that's not what we want.
Right.
For shared closet, we believe the most important thing, or the biggest requisite should be it's in good shape.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's like a very luxurious brand or it's something from Shein, but I mean, at the end, what matters is that it can be worn. And I think any garment that is in good shape is able to be worn by someone else, even if it's low quality. But the most sustainable product is the one that lasts the longest. So even that Shein shirt has been already produced. At this point, let's use it and use it and use it the most we can to avoid it to go in earlier to waste. Maybe it's low quality, but maybe some person can wear it for another 8-10 months instead of throwing it today to the garbage because no one wanted to buy it and it's low quality.
Yeah, I think it's really important to remember that as well. We haven't really spoken about it yet, but just briefly how the circular economy kind of moves out. It's like at the center you have design, you have the product that's been made, you buy it, it then moves out, you can then repair it, and then you can resell it if you want to resell it or swap it, like you say. And the more you move out, the more energy that's needed, the more inputs that are needed, the more transportation that's needed. And so then after resale, you then have refurbish, remanufacture, upcycling, and then you get to recycling, which is kind of like the most energy intensive. Then obviously you have landfill if you have to landfill it, or incinerator or whatever. But that's why I really like that you're kind of focusing on the reuse, resell, or swap kind of feature of this, because then you help prevent that massive loss down at the end, which is really interesting. But then I know you also have good incentives for brands to participate in this as well. So could you please touch on those?
Yes. So when we analyzed really the problem, we saw the problems in consumers, like why is it hard for them to be sustainable? But then we also saw the problem in brands. And sadly, in 2025, being sustainable is not profitable. You can use it to maybe improve your image, or I mean, it has many advantages, like you can do more efficient processes, for example, but it doesn't make more money for brands. So if it's cheaper to do it in an unsustainable way, they will do it in that unsustainable way. So, and this is a problem of capitalism in general, but it has hit real hard in the fashion industry. And this is why we have these aggressive production processes of like getting it as fast as possible for as cheap as possible. And that's why most of the production lines have moved to Asia, and because it's cheaper to do it there. But also coming with all the ethical problems that this comes with. But at the same time, we believe brands really don't have an incentive to become circular, because they don't make more money having a circular business model. So what we said is, okay, we need to give real incentives to brands to become more sustainable. And this is why we decided, okay, we have a huge second-hand industry. Let's make brands participate in this, because today, if a brand, Vinted makes hundreds of thousands of transactions every day, and the original brand doesn't see a penny from that. If I sell you today this hat from, I don't know, from North Face is not getting money from that. So at the end, what does it mean? That they just care about producing until the selling point. After that, it's not interesting for them what happens after. But if we can make them participate in this circular economy by the approach that we're having with Sally is brands that will adopt our DPPs, our digital product passports, because this tool is really necessary to track all the things that will happen to the garment. If they have it, they implement our digital product passports, and then their garments get a transaction done inside Sally. We can share the profit that makes with the brand. I think this is a very interesting business model for them, because up to this point they don't see profit after the selling stage. But imagine a brand that makes products that every time it gets resold, every time it gets repaired, every time it gets also in the swap, we can share profits with them, because the consumer in a way doesn't spend money on swapping, but there's also like it makes money the same way. So brands can actually see this as an interesting business model, and they can produce better garments that can last for longer, because now a brand says, I prefer to make this to last 8 months, because you will buy it again in 8 months, because it breaks so easily. And that's why brands don't produce anymore the garments that they used to produce in the 60s, 70s that last a lifetime.
Right.
So if brands can say, okay, I can still make revenue from a product that will live for 40, 50 years, I think they don't have excuses anymore to build stuff that breaks so easily.
Right. I think that's a great point. That's a great point. And also it's great to see that some brands, Patagonia, for instance, is coming to mind with their worn wear, like their resale platform. I think it's good that also you have some examples from brands that have been able to make it work quite successfully, to kind of like prove your case out more, I guess.
I guess what always comes to my mind, the North Face. I feel like they have been very conscious about this. They have really tried to make sustainable choices, and in some way they have like managed to do it. They have now this program that, for example, you can repair for life your jackets or whatever. So people buy something knowing, "Oh, okay, if it breaks, I know they will repair it for me and it will live longer." So that's exactly the mentality we want in fashion brands, thinking of their products living for as long as possible and not just, "Oh, when it breaks, okay, you will buy another one from me."
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is very niche, North Face is, I don't want to say expensive, but it's high quality stuff. So it's very niche for people that can afford this kind of product, and we believe this should be extended to every product from every price tag. Even I think it can even done with fast fashion. I mean, if you manage to improve the quality of fast fashion, and brands will say, okay, maybe we won't make bad stuff that lasts a couple of months because we just want to sell it. We will make something that will live a little bit longer, so at least we can profit on the repairments. We can profit on the resales. The more you resell it, the more you're going to profit. So the longer it lives, the better it is for you. Yeah, I really think it's North Face started in the right direction, but I still believe that we need to get this more wider to a wider target of fashion brands.
Yeah, I think that's a really good approach. And I know the woman who helped make North Face's repair program, and I got to speak to her a few times as a part of like a kind of like a interview your favorite change agent in the fashion industry kind of thing. And it was really inspiring hearing her story and how she kind of had this vision, and North Face was one of the first brands to adopt it and see the benefit of it, and to now see where it's grown since. They're working with the platform that she built out and is now sold. It has been working with so many different brands that I think is really great. But their niche was very much on the, you have to do it with high quality products to begin with. But I do think that it's a really interesting approach working with fast fashion brands, because that's kind of the majority of the problem. And so many people are buying them all the time. Like you said a little while ago, like there's just an onslaught of clothes being produced all the time. And it's such an overly saturated industry. And most people who are over consuming fast fashion brands. So I think that that's a really interesting niche to have. I had another question going off of that, but now I can't remember what it was because I went down that tangent.
I'm pretty sure they'll come back. But I mean, for example, the other day I was on a store and they had this huge wall of like jeans and pants and everything. And I saw like it was, I think, a Saturday, so it was like a busy day. There were some people, but at the same time, I mean, I was thinking, is there enough people that going to buy all these? Like, what if all these are actually going to be sold and end up in someone that is going to buy? Why do we need to produce so much? Is it necessary really to have like 15 jeans of the same model stacked in a store just for someone to? They're not going to sell all of them, and
Yeah.
people buy them. A lot of people will only wear it just a couple of times, and then they will just they won't wear it anymore, and they will be inside their houses like for God knows how long. So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this is one store, and I was thinking, imagine how many stores are there right now in Germany with this exact level of volume of merchandise. Imagine how many stores are in the world with this level of merchandise. We now enter to stores completely flooded with merchandise and everything. And everything is going to be sold. So I think we need to come back a little bit to be more minimalistic about the way we consume and our approach to clothes. I believe like we should really just wear. Of course, I don't pretend people to like not have a style or not find good accessories. People should really express themselves in fashion, but I think we really need to come back to the basics in a way of like having specific pieces that we wear often and maybe something extra, but not having like hundreds of thousands of pieces that we just wear like twice or three times or four times, and then we then never wear them again, and then they end up in waste. So I think it's we really need to think this approach to how we behave, because we're treating clothes like straws, like plastic And we're treating them like plastic forks, and this is not the way we should treat clothes. We should treat them more like cars, more like
Yeah.
something that you own and you wear, and you make the most out of it until you can, and then when it's done, it goes to its next step, but not
Mm.
something that I wore it twice, it was cute, but now I won't wear it anymore, and then garbage.
That would be an interesting idea, having almost like for cars, in England, for cars we have a thing called an MOT, which is like your annual kind of review of your car to make sure it's still in good shape, and you pay for a mechanic to do it, and then you get the certificate at the end. That would be an interesting concept for clothes. If like whatever it is, every 2-3 years, the government mandates you to send your clothes in to kind of like be assessed and then have a certificate at the end. But I mean, jokes aside, I do think that like adopting a more mindful approach is important to it. And I was reading a statistic the other day, and I don't remember what the percentage was, but it was something high. I want to say it was something around 20 to 30% of clothes produced don't get sold. And so we were talking about the digital product passport earlier. There are some other laws coming out as well in the EU, like the ESRS, which I'm forgetting what the acronym stands for now. And they're mandating that if you have to abide by this law, you have to share how many clothes you're not selling and what's going to happen to them. And also, the harder it is for those clothes to be recycled, the producer will then have to pay a higher fee, basically like a higher tax on it, which I think is great. So I'm really interested to see how that will help change the market, but it applies to so few companies. Like so few companies are affected by that law at the moment. But I still think it would be an interesting case study to see how it evolves over time.
And I think that's the future in a way. I mean, sometimes we see regulations are regulations, but I think they're necessary. They also our fertile ground for innovation. And the exact same thing that is going on with the digital product passport is being mandatory. Some brands are just at the moment seen as a compliance tool, but then all the doors it could open to actually completely change the system. Right now we have EPR, the extended producer responsibility. So I guess this is a step forward for sustainability in the fashion industry. I mean, now brands have to pay for the disposal of their products. So this is great, but this is also still very limited. It's not, it hasn't been adopted on a European level or anything like that. DPPs will help with this because being able to track products and making it easier to collect and sort is going to be definitely very positive for the industry. But also sometimes we forget that we think of Europe and then we think, okay, yeah, we need to do something for Europe, but we're not. Europe is not alone. It's like we have the worst, the biggest producers of clothing. We have China, we have India, also in the US. So it's very good that I think it's very interesting that we're starting here because that could also send a message and it could in a way change the way the industry is going also in other parts of the world, in other countries. But yeah, there's still so much to do, like in so many different places. It's such a big industry that it needs to these innovations need to get even to them to actually make a difference.
Totally. Are you noticing that the extended producer responsibility is coming up in conversation when you speak to potential partners for Sally?
Not really, and this is because fashion brands they just know they have to report and they see it as a burden. You know, it's like really they don't even care about the what's the name of the letters. I mean, yeah, EPR. Yes, I mean, so there are so many ones. There's like just more reporting, more paperwork. I think it's necessary in a way, but we need to simplify it, you know? I mean, what I was thinking with speaking the other day with a fashion brand is like, if a brand can prove that their products live for as long as possible and are being repaired and they are being recycled, that brand shouldn't pay that much of fee for the disposal of that because they are actually making a product that is not becoming waste. It doesn't make sense that they should pay the same as a brand that makes all the products that go straight up to waste because they're super low quality. So yeah, I mean, some brands think about it, and others they just like see it as another bureaucratic, mandatory burden that they have to comply with. But mm, we have to see also that this opens many doors for product improvement.
Totally.
If you have the data and it shows you this product that you're making is, I don't know, is lasting for so long and it's almost not getting repaired, and instead this other product that you're producing is, after 2 months people automatically sell it or repair it. You have data to see, okay, you can improve your processes, because this product is going good. Why? Because of the material, maybe. The product is not performing well because it's getting straight up into waste. Why? Because so many different factors, and this helps fashion brands make better choices in the processes. The DPP will be great for gathering data, anonymous data, of course, because this is also something that comes up really often with people that don't know about the DPP. When I say the word, for example, tracking, and I say, oh, so people I know are going to track me. Fashion brands are going to know where I'm going with my clothes. Like, not location tracking.
Yeah.
Also, the fashion brand doesn't know the name or the face or the gender or the age of the person that is wearing their clothes. They just
Right.
user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But
Yeah.
this data is important because they can know how good their product is performing and where it can be improved in the production processes. You can now, with DPPs, you can track CO2 emissions, for example, because it's like the DNA of your garment. So you have everything since the wool that was grown in China and then it became thread on a mill in India and everything. You can measure all of these things and say, oh, okay, this is the real impact of this piece of garment. So this data for sure will help them improve the processes, make better decisions, become more sustainable.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And actually, this is an interesting point that, so I was a guest lecturer in the Harvard Circular Economics course the other day, and a couple of the projects had this in mind. And they were basically saying, okay, we want to kind of come up with this platform where you can send your garments or whatever it was. I think it was garments. Then there was something else it was like a tray or something like that. It wasn't clothing related, but basically it was, you can send it off and then we'll kind of report, okay, this like, there was a hole in the elbow and that needed to be repaired on like 100 of this item and all of that. And then you can send that information back to the brand and then they can then update their design. And then, like you're saying, it can then improve their products and then ultimately help to lead to a more circular future for the brand and for society in general. But I think it's such a great idea, though, to be able to cross collaborate in this way.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the end goal for everyone is just to produce less waste. I mean, for the brands, for the users, for Europe, as a regulator, what we want is to produce less waste, less CO2, give better conditions to workers. So what we want to do as a whole is improve how this industry works. And I think this is a very powerful tool to get us near to that goal of having a more fair and more sustainable industry.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 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 wondering because it comes up a lot in discussion. I'm wondering if you have a perspective on this, both in terms of how you can reduce your own impact, but also if it's something that you're thinking about with AI, because obviously AI is spoken a lot about because it uses a lot of water and energy and emissions and all of that. And I'm a fan of using it in tools like this, where they're kind of like industry changing tools. I'm less of a fan of using it on like an individual basis to like compile an email for someone. I think that's extremely resource wasting and a waste of everyone's intelligence. But I do wonder though, has this, as you've moved along this process, kind of come up in conversation, like how can we partner with maybe AI providers and data centers that do have a lower emission, or does it even come up in conversation at all? Because it really is kind of this good kind of circular solution. So I am wondering if it's coming up in conversation at all.
It does at all. I mean, I have a friend that also, she's like very anti AI in a way, and she's an extreme case, but I also think like you that AI for some stuff, I have friends that just chat with AI because they feel lonely or whatever, or they just want to like, I mean, it's also very loable, but at the same time, I think the it's true that the AI makes a lot of energy consumption, but it's also a very powerful tool that is already changing so much our society with the technological advances. I mean, now we are able to do things we couldn't do 10 years ago with AI. It is great. I think it got like a little bit of a bad name lately, and I think it's because of the use, not for the tool itself. Of course, there are many different technologies that use so much energy but are necessary because I mean they make our lives better. So with AI, I think it's improving, that's for sure. I can tell you that there are so many new technologies and innovation that consume less energy. So the same AI today is not the same one that was maybe 5 years ago or
Right.
years ago. People is actually addressing this problem. Okay, we need this technology, we need it. We cannot say, okay, no, it's so energy consumption, let's shut it down. We cannot now. I mean, we have seen the potential it has, and we've seen how it's like already changing our lives. And I'm not talking about image generation or ChatGPT. I'm talking about other types of use cases for AI. So there are a lot of people innovating in this space, and I can assure you that they're getting down the energy consumption. So I guess at a certain point we will just it's a new technology and it comes with its problems, but it also is good that there's people that is solving these problems, and the energy consumption is a big one. So it's just a matter of time before we can get a good solution to this, to have a more sustainable AI that doesn't consume so much, water or energy or all the problems that it comes with.
Right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate hearing that as well. I think it is important to remember in that regard. So you said that Sally is launching in March. So what are kind of your next steps now?
So at the moment, what we want, I would say, we want, of course, when it comes out, we want to test it with some users. This project has a European approach, but at the same time, it's a local approach. So what we want to have is starting Cologne. We want to create a community of like-minded people that really care about, maybe at the beginning we want to address that niche that care about sustainability and do sustainable choices for the products and everything. The end goal is that anyone can use it, so any garment can be disposed through Sally in the most sustainable way. But at the beginning, we want to start building a community. We are planning some events like swapping parties, for example, or swapping events in collaboration with other brands, with, for example, gyms or cycling studios. Or, I mean, there are already communities that are consolidated, and we want to introduce them to this way of living your garments, through sharing it with other people and just not throwing them to waste or having them accumulate dust in your house. We want them to make this also an active part of their lives, to constantly keep their garments in circulation and emotion. So yeah, community building is one of the things that we are working hard at the beginning. So when we launch, we can have a good number of people that starts to lead this movement of like sharing your clothes, selling your clothes, or repairing your clothes.
I love that. I think it's so good to get a community involved in circular practices. That's
Absolutely.
really cool. I love the uplifting note to end on. And I'd love to ask you what I ask every guest at the end of our chat is, what is one curiosity that you'd like our listeners to look more into? And it can be anything. It can be a book, a film, a movement, a way of life, anything at all.
I would say I would really recommend people, and not because this is what we're doing at Sally, but to start considering swapping garments. I mean, it doesn't have to be necessarily through our app, but if you have clothes that you don't wear anymore, give it to someone, like ask someone if they want to take them. You can participate with your friends. You can never know, maybe someone else doesn't want something that you find really good, that you really want to wear, And it's better to wear it and give it a second life than just having it in the closet like for months and months and no one is like wearing it. I would really encourage people to start getting more in touch with this movement of circulating their garments. You know, now there are shops, for example, here in Cologne, there's also a shop where you bring your clothes and you take whatever you want. I think it's better than buying, you know. The other last week I met a girl. She has an upcycling product, and she's been 2 or 3 years without buying new clothes. And I thought it
Wow.
was amazing and
That
great.
is really
And
impressive.
she was super chic. I mean, I really love the style and with the coat of everything. He said, yeah, this year, I don't know how many years, I think it was 3 or something like that, without buying new clothes. All I do is old clothes or repairing or buying vintage or
Mm.
or upcycling, but no clothes from the store, no clothes from the internet or whatever. So I believe there are already enough clothes in the world for that. So I think we could easily live a life like that, lead a life of not getting newly produced items, but just use what is already out there.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's such a good challenge as well to set yourself to see if you can do it, how long you can do that for as well.
Yeah, it was super nice. It was super. I mean, I was very surprised because I thought this is so cool. I would really like to be like this, you know.
Right? Yeah.
It's a flex.
It is.
I've been these kind of years without, these many years without buying new clothes. Wow, respect.
Yeah, instant. I agree. Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today.
Thank you for having me. It was such a great conversation. I really love talking about this. Yeah, thank you for the nice conversation, the nice things, and everything.
Yeah, of course. Thanks to you too. I think that you made the conversation, so thank you.
Thank you.